Good morning. What day are we on? Either 5 or 6. I need to go back and look before I start these videos. Today we are probably going to play it low key and stick around in the campground for a good chunk of the day. And I have a mobile guy who's supposed to call me this morning and come out and handle my starting issue on my engine. A little update on that front. I think it's just the starter wires that need to be replaced possibly. I don't think the motor's bad at all, but we'll find out. But yesterday I was tinkering with it and tried to get it to work on my own with my limited mechanical skills, and I went and test started the engine and it did not start. So it's probably gonna strand me here unless I get the thing dealt with. So whatever. The fridge is another story. It still has its issue. The good thing is, a big saving grace is it's running perfectly if it's plugged into shore power. And with that little theory that I got rid of, the little splitter in the back, it's possible that it will run off the generator too. We don't know yet. So, but the mobile guy here that serves this park doesn't seem very available. He just doesn't think he's going to be able to fit me in. I looked ahead at Liberty Harbor up in near New York City, and I literally can't find anybody. So we're probably going to be having this fridge problem for the next several days. So far, though, it only affects us when we're traveling, and when we're plugged in, it works. So I guess I could probably, in theory, go all the way home like this, but I'd obviously rather not. But anyway. Last night I took off by myself. My wife was cool like that, and headed into Washington, D.C. and walked around the Capitol building and the White House and the Lincoln Memorial, and took a lot of photos with the camera, and it was kind of fun. So, but today we're, as of now, going to play it kind of low key. Ended up calling Mars to cars. Okay, well, we had just had a mobile guy come out for the starter, and that's exactly what it ended up being. And I mean, it's not going to be a cheap fix. It's like 600 and something bucks. Because we got to buy the starter, then it's this labor coming out and all that stuff. Whatever, it alleviates the problem. I make money easier than it. And it's just like you take the money and weigh it with the hassle factor, and it's obviously like, let's just get her done, So anyway, you can see I've got the rig lifted up with its stands. I can even move the wheel, whatever. He's out getting the starter, and then we'll be putting it in and all that. That'll be one problem off my plate I don't have to worry about. The only other one is the fridge, but that's a pretty minor problem at this point because it seems to work most of the time. So we can work around that one until we find a guy. No big deal, really. So other than that, I have a few little minor things I'm going to deal with on my own. It's like there was a couple people on Facebook that were like, "Oh, you're kind of making me think about whether I want to get an RV or not." And don't let this stuff scare you. I mean, we're just documenting our trip, and this is the kind of stuff that happens. But it's basically a little shakedown cruise. I mean, I've used it before this trip, but this is our first long trip, and the nature of RVs is that you use them on vacation, which means that if something's going to break, it's probably going to happen when you're on vacation. So you just don't take it too seriously. I mean, on my first day, I was taking it seriously, and I was pretty annoyed, but just kind of get it done. It's not a big deal. Once it's dealt with, it probably will not rear its head again for quite some time. Alright, it probably seems like today's update is mostly me talking. That's because it is. There's not a lot going on today because the kids are basically doing pool, and right now they're watching some TV. We're kind of taking a slow day, whereas I'm taking care of some backlog. So we obviously got the starter fixed. That's a done deal, working well. I had to drop 3 quarts of oil into the engine because it was running low on oil. So I took care of that. I had to run out to the grocery store. I replaced the water hose going into the rig because the one I had was spraying water and it was leaking, so I went ahead and replaced that. So whatever, taking care of some backlog essentially. That's just what I'm doing today. I will go to the pool later though, for sure. It's hot. People who think it's nicer up north all the time than down where we live in Florida, you guys are hallucinating. It is hotter here than back home in Florida right now, even though we're 1,000 miles north. So it is what it is. All right, so update on the fridge, and then I'll probably be knocking off with my updates for today, because today's update is pretty much all mechanical. My current theory with the fridge is that it is temperature related. So I have this recall box inside the fridge which starts to turn off the fridge and displays the error code if it senses that it's getting too hot. We've noticed that it only seems to happen when I'm traveling, and the other thing is that it's never happened before, but all of a sudden now during the summer it is. My theory is that it's getting really hot because of poor air circulation, specifically while we're traveling, because the air is going along the thing. It's not able to bring the air in as much and circulate through the back of the fridge. There's a little tiny fan, kind of like a computer fan in there, but I just don't think it's doing the job. So I think my solution is probably going to be to put a new cooling fan in there. One that will run constantly while we're driving down the road. Unfortunately, right now I don't exactly know how to do it. Might need to get somebody to do this. Got a couple problems. One is if I'm going to install it up at the top, I can do that part, but fishing the wire down the back seems like, how the hell am I supposed to do that to get it down into the service hatch right there? The other issue is just getting it all connected so that I can control it with a switch and all that kind of stuff. It requires a little bit of electrician stuff. So what I may do is at some campground that we're coming up on, find my mobile RV guy that will finally come out here and just say, listen, this is what was happening. I want you to install this fan. One way or the other, I think this fan is going to help because it will make the cooling of the fridge a lot more efficient. So that's where we're at, and I think I'm just going to go and screw off the rest of the day, because even though we've been sitting here in this campground all day, I've been basically playing wannabe mechanic a lot of the day, and I got other things I'd like to do.
Look at that.
All right, guys, we're on a little tour here, huh? And there's this fairly well-known building behind us, but they seem to always be doing construction to it. But we decided to come out to town again. This time I brought everybody with me. And this is a good time of day to be coming out here because you can just basically park the car. And we're going to go over probably near the White House next. It'll probably be a little harder to park over there. But here, it's pretty easy, isn't it, Ellie? Okay.